Okay, think of that sound. Enjoy that sound. So how's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to the stream. I'm composer, classical guitarist, and also I dive into philosophy like radical objectivism, anarcho-capitalism, and agorism. I'm here living in Japan. Thanks for joining me tonight. And today we're going to explore the Kabbalion text and the 7 principles by the 3 initiates. So you're listening to music now that I used the 7 Hermetic principles to create a piece of music. So then you can apply these principles either one at a time to a piece or all 7 to one piece. We're going to be exploring the 7 Hermetic principles and how they can transform your playing, your compositions, and or whether you're doing anything live performance. There you go. Okay. We've heard enough. That's original composition, by the way. Okay. So let me show you the text if you're not familiar with the text. The book I'm using is this edition right here. The Kabbalion Hermetic Philosophy by the 3 Initiates, illustrated. I don't know if you have this edition. There are many different editions of this. So the edition I have was published 2021, the Kabbalion resource page. 2nd edition, 2021. So actually the first edition was March 2020. So if you have this book, you can follow along, which is fine. But there are other ones. There are other editions. That's the other edition. We're going to look at each one of these. And then we'll try to play some examples of guitar music that utilizes these 7 principles. There's more on this screen, but we're just going through the 7, the all in all. I think out of order. Okay. So let's just jump right in here. So before we get really into it, let's explore the 7 Hermetic principles that come from the Kabbalion text, and it's distilling sort of these ancient teachings of Hermes Trismegistus. I've done lots of videos on this. So you can go watch those other videos I've done and what kind of influence Hermeticism or even Gnosticism has on music and art, or anything for that matter. But I focus most on music because that's my specialty, is composing. So this is old stuff. This is old esoteric religions that go back, that predate Plato. And they sort of describe how the universe works, or actually works according to them. So the quick rundown here. So the first one we have is mentalism. It says here, mental transmutation. That's the first one. So that's basically everything is mind. That's basically what it's saying. So the principle of mentalism, the all is mind, the universe is mental. Kabbalion text. Okay, and then we go to the second one, correspondence, as above, so below, astrology. We know about that one. The principle of correspondence, as above, so below. I'm not going to read each one now. I might go into a little bit as we go into detail how to do this and apply this to your music. And then the other one is vibration. There it is, right down there. These are all kind of, well, this is a different publication, so it's going to be a little out of order. So there's polarity. No, vibration. There it is. The wrong one. That's fine. That's where we're live. So there's vibration. Nothing rests. Everything vibrates. That's kind of Heraclitean. I know about Heraclitus. Not Heraclitus. Heraclitean philosophy. He believed everything was in flux. Everything's changing. But here, vibration is nothing rests. Everything vibrates. That's kind of similar vibe, pardon the pun there, to Heraclitus. Is that how you say his name? I think that's how you say his name. Heraclitus. Heraclitus. So that's vibration. Number 3. So the next one is polarity. Opposites are really the same. I'm consulting my book here. There's polarity. Yeah, everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degrees. Extreme meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. That's very Hegelian, by the way, that end there. All paradoxes or contradictions may be reconciled. So you know Hegelian philosophy is the dialectic, the triangles, the triangle. Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. But some people like to use reconciliation instead. So that's where Hegel gets, and Hegel was in Hermeticism. Who was that? Who was the guy he was into that? Boheme? I think his name. I forgot his name now. Escapes me. That's vibration, though, anyway. So that's very similar to Heraclitean philosophy and Hegel, too, about the reconciliation. If you got a different opinion about it, let me know. Okay, so after vibration, after polarity, comes rhythm. Where's rhythm on there? Right in order. There you go, rhythm. So according to my book, rhythm, the principle of rhythm, everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall. The pendulum swings manifest in everything. The pendulum swinging. The measure of swing to the right is the measure of swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Everything's like balancing here. Yeah, they're trying to create a balance or equilibrium or synthesis. Okay, so that's rhythm. Everything flows in cycles. Basically what that is. Okay, then we get to the next one, cause and effect. Planes of correspondence. I don't see cause and effect on here. Is it here? Nope. We have the mental, the all is all in all. Planes of correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation. You have this mental thing at the bottom. We'll get to that later. Okay. So cause and effect, nothing happens by chance. Let me read my edition here. Okay, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. Not a law that's recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Okay. All right, nothing escapes the law. All right, so that's nothing happens by chance, cause and effect. Then the last one, it says gender, but I'm not using that. I'm just going to say sex, because that's all we were talking about, male and female. Gender is a made-up word. It is a construction, and it's just made up to confuse people that think that this has to do with sex, male and female. Gender is just describing personality. So I'm just going to call it sex, masculine and feminine. Creative forces exist in everything. Again, about the balancing. Before we get into some more, we heard some examples at the beginning. The principle of sex. Sex is everything, is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Sex manifests on all planes. So I'm going to use that, so I don't care. That's what I'm going to use. Just a preamble here, just a disclaimer, okay? I study Hermeticism and Gnosticism, but I don't practice it. And I'm not recommending you to practice it either. I'm just giving you examples that help your playing and help your composing. But you can use these 7 principles and apply them to your composition or your playing style. But I don't recommend, I mean, it's up to you. You want to practice it, go ahead, but I don't practice Hermeticism or Gnosticism. Some people do, they get really into it and they memorize the text and everything. But that's not what we're doing here. We're just taking something simple, just a visual concept here, like mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, and to help you visualize these ideas and then put them into your music and how to practice ideas. It makes you clarify your ideas, is basically what I'm saying. Okay, so let's start with, according to this book, mental transmutation. So let's start with mentalism. The all is mind. So your consciousness shapes reality. Okay, see, this is very Kantian. This is very Hegelian. And if you ever read Hegel and Kant, when you see this right here, this is a red flag. When it says, your consciousness shapes reality. Hey, whoops. It's not objectivism. This is antithetical to objectivism, where we use our sensory perception to perceive the world as it is. A is A, right? But this is the opposite, where your brain actually creates reality. It says to me, don't practice this stuff, please. Just get the general picture of what this is and just kind of apply it lightly. And you don't want to mess around with this stuff because it really will mess with your brain. Okay, so on guitar, this is super direct. Basically what it's saying here is that the way you think and intend a note changes how it sounds. So like, for example, if you're playing the Bach, if you're playing that bourrée, we've heard that 1,000 times. So according to this mentalism here, on the guitar, this is super direct. The way you think and intend a note changes how it sounds. Okay, so if you're intending the note, like if you're going to interpret it like Julian Bream does. So he plays the first part very nice. This is me playing. I'm sorry. Anyway. But then when Bream plays it, he intends the note to sound like this the second time he plays it. So it's like he plays part A, then he repeats it. Then when he repeats it, he intends to do it ponticello like this. I mean, that's how he interprets it, but it's really off-putting if you heard this the first time. But that's how he intends the note to play that. He plays it how he wants it, his imagination. Imagine it as just really out of left field, just really sharp. I disagree with that interpretation. Completely disagree with it. But that's the point is, if you're intending to sound that way, fine. Okay, but you have to explain why. Why are you doing that? What does that have to do with Bach? Usually I would just play, I would play the bourrée like this. Maybe that's too fast. Play a little slower. So I'm going to tend to play it slower. Remember, this is dance music. So I'm intending to play this slow way deliberately for two reasons. One, it's dance music. Right? And the second move, the last movement after this, the jig. That piece. If you're going to play it fast, if you're going to play the bourrée fast, you're going to play the jig fast. It's not going to work. So it's better just, I intend to interpret this and play these notes this way, slow. Nice, slow, relaxing, because it's dance. Okay? So you think that way. The way you think and intend the note that changes. But whatever you do, don't apply the philosophy of your consciousness shapes reality. Okay? Boo-boo, don't do that, please. It doesn't. Accept reality as it is. Be a radical objectivist. A is A. Okay? Get that out of the way. So now let's listen to a Bach prelude. Let's see, which Bach prelude is this? Let me go down here. I got the links down here. Bach prelude. Okay, that's the Lute Suite, number 1, Julian Bream. Okay, let me go back up here and get that for you so we can listen to it for a little bit. I'll probably get copyright strike. I don't care. Hey, the space is still going. Okay, Julian Bream. We want the first Julian Bream Bach Lute Suite number 1. We'll listen to the beginning of that one. Oh, there's that guy. Was that David Russell? There's David Russell. There's Julian Bream playing Bach. Vivaldi. This guy's playing it too. Oh, I know. Well, yeah. Oh, here it is, right here. He plays the first plate list in that one. Oh, good. Okay. So you have very clear intentions versus just going through the motions, right? So this is mentalism in action, right? You actualize your intention to play a note a certain way, like this. So yeah, after you listen to this bream, you kind of visualize the emotion, and the idea of what you want to express, right? That's the most important thing. Visualize the emotion and the idea you want to express. But why does bream play the second part to the beret like this? Wow, that's just like came out of left field. Okay, there we go. We heard about 30 seconds of that. So that's mentalism in action. So now we go to the next one, which is the plane. They call it the planes of correspondence. So the plane of correspondence, as above, so below. Not the Yngwie song. Small parts mirror big ones. So the source study, this is the expert, the opening motive contains the DNA of the whole piece. That's correspondence. So the source study you're all familiar with is the one in B minor. There. I know this piece. So I'm going to play a little bit. So this little idea here is sort of the genesis of the entire piece. That's correspondence. The small little part becomes the bigger one. Well, Bach is probably a better example, but you know this piece. So the idea, the germ of the piece, is this. And then the whole piece is based on that. So that's what correspondence is. Little part becomes the bigger part. So what I would recommend is write a short little idea and then expand on it in a whole composition and reflects the same shape. So it creates a nice, beautiful unity that way. That's correspondence. You take a small idea. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is just like pretty much 2 notes, the whole piece. And he creates a whole 25-minute piece on the thing. So that's the example. That's a bit of exaggeration, but you're going to get the idea. Okay, so try that out. Try writing a piece. It doesn't matter what the melody is. I mean, actually, think about the melody, right? Do your intentions, the all in all. I mean, the first principle here is mentalism, right? So think about your intentions. You want to intend to write a small little melody. It could be 3 notes, and keep it simple. You don't want a whole bunch of like an 8-bar phrase or anything. Just simple little notes, like 3 notes or something, and then try to create a whole piece on just 3 notes. Try to do that. Okay, so the next one now is vibration. So everything is in constant motion. Okay, this is Heraclitus, right? Everything's in flux. Everything's changing. Like, for example, to use the analogy of the river. So as a person is walking towards the river, it's the river. But as you approach the river is changing. It's always changing because the water is pushing the sand and the rocks. So as you get to the river, is it the same river as you were approaching before? Because the river is changing. It's always changing. It's always going through motion. And so is it the river? So it's the river right before, but it's not the river at the same time. This is a contradiction. This is Hegel stuff too. But that's what when you think about it, is that everything is constantly in motion. Okay, think of the match analogy. Leonard Peikoff has a good analogy for the match. Is it a match? Is it still a match? You know, after you use it? Okay, so we'll listen to the Targa, Recuerdos de Alhambra, just the tremolo section, and we'll listen to, I already did this last time. Let's see, let me get to my history. I got all kinds of stuff here. Let's see, Julian Bream. Let's see, I need, there's, okay, this one. I already had this, right? So the guitar here is literally building on this idea of everything constantly in motion, right? It's always moving. It's always changing. Even the tone color could change as you're playing this. So these are just waves of sound as pure vibration, right? So the practical here is try experimenting with where you pluck the string. Like, for example, instead of Ponticello, like that again, or maybe Dolce. So I'm just moving my right hand up and down. It could be over the neck, or it could be over the sound hole, or it could be toward the bridge nut. So try experimenting with that. Experiment with keeping things always in motion. So feel, and when you're doing that, kind of feel how the guitar is like resonating and vibrating through your body. That's what's good about playing guitar, is that the guitar is close to your body. You can feel it vibrating. Whereas the piano, you're separated from the fingers on the keys, and you're separated from the instrument. You don't put the piano up against your body, so you can't feel that resonance. So experiment with that. Everything in flux. Long live Heraclitus. No. Okay, so that brings up the next part is polarity. So everything is opposites, right? We know about what music thrives on, contrast. So the Capriccio Arabe, you hear a light, dark, and passion and calm, okay? So we all know about this piece. We've heard this piece a zillion times. And the Capriccio Arabe is, here it is right here. I'll probably get copyright strike. I don't care. Hello? Okay. So we'll get past this.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to do the 5-second rule. Now, so we hear this. We'll hear the contrast here: light, and then dark is happening here, and then passion and calm. Okay, so the first part is kind of light because it has that the light texture there, with kind of like a violin or something. It's just doing that phrase at the beginning. So that's kind of light. That's not dark. The dark is when it comes in. See, there's the light, and then that would be the dark. So you have the, up there, the light texture, and then you have the real heavy stuff down there, the real heavy bass. I mean, it depends on how you interpret it, but that's what I do. So anyway, so we have the light and the dark, and we have the passion and the calm. So we'll forward here. There it is. That would be the dark. That would be the passion. There you go. There's the passion. Okay, stop. I don't want to get copyright strike. Okay. Let me fast forward a little bit, because they'll play when it goes into the relative major. Yeah, there's back again. That's it. Okay, repeat. Okay, that's still the passion part. Okay, blah, blah, blah. There. Okay, so that's the contrast. You have the real dark. And then we get into the in the F major part there, the relative major, I meant to say. Okay, so there's your contrast. There's your polarity. That's obvious. That's very obvious. No kidding. All right, moving on. So we kind of get that idea. Remember, you can apply each one of these principles by themselves effectively, or you can apply all 7 principles all at once. We're getting close to the end here about the principles. We elaborate on them, and we'll go through the practical composer's guide after this, how to do this. So the next one is rhythm. Everything flows in cycles. Let the music breathe. So everything flows in cycles. There's a cyclical, it's inevitable. It just goes around. Everything repeats itself, right? You heard this before. Everything flows in cycles. Let the music breathe. Let me read about rhythm in here. In the good book. Cause and effect. Okay, principle rhythm. So I'm going to elaborate more. It says everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides, ebbing and flowing. All things rise and fall. The pendulum manifests, the swing manifests in everything. The measure of swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. So like between the two poles which exist in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago, right? And finally, in mental states of man, and it is with the latter that Hermeticists find the understanding of the principle most important. They apply the mental law of neutralization. They have learned how to use it instead of being used by it. Yeah, I've thought of that Eurythmics song. For some reason, it popped in my head when I read that line. Used by you. Okay, so let's do a Bach piece. And and listen carefully that there's one little small change. Oh no, it's rhythm. Sorry, it's the Adagio by Rodrigo. You know. Oh, good. I muted that one. We've heard that a million zillion times. So there's an example of rhythm. So we'll listen to a little bit of this, and you'll feel the natural rise and fall. So how to practice that, if you're a guitar player, which that's what we're talking about today, practice tip is use rubato like breathing, right? Organic, not mechanical. So let's listen to a little bit of this. And we heard the source. There's the Concerto de Onwenes. So let's listen to a little bit of this. And okay, he's going to play that nice B minor chord. There we go. Okay. Boy, that sound is too low. Anyway, let's listen to a load of this. So this is rhythm, how it flows. And it's just a very constant, you've heard it before. It's just constant. Oh, that sounds terrible. I'm trying to play with that flesh. Rubato, yeah. Rubato means you kind of play with the rhythm. You know what that means. Okay. So let's listen to a little bit of that. There you go, see? And then the melody. Yeah, we've heard it a million times. So that's an idea of rhythm. Okay, everything flows in the cycles. Okay, all right. I'm not going to play anymore. We've heard enough. we get it. Okay, so now we get to the second to the last one, which is cause and effect. I'm not going to get into the Hermetic axioms. Cause and effect, causation. They call it causation here in this textbook, but in my book, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Yeah, kind of like this cycle thing we just did. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. So, for example, elaborate. Everything happens according to law, that nothing ever merely happens by chance. There is no such thing as chance. That while there are various planes of cause and effects, the higher dominating the lower planes, kind of as above, so below. Still, nothing ever entirely escapes the law. Okay. So cause and effects, every note has its consequences. So in the Bach piece, one small change will ripple through everything. So study, always with Bach, study the voice leading. It makes your playing much more intentional. Okay. So let me go down here and find I'm going to scroll down and find the Bach Boré. There it is. Oh, God. Okay. We'll listen to the Gillian Bream version of that one. That was just jarring, this thing when you play. You'll see. Okay, where's Gillian Bream and is that's the first part of it, but that's not the minor. Oh yeah, here's the Boré right there. I knew I'd find it. So listen to the first part. For me, that's too fast. So every note has a consequences. So one small little change will ripple through everything. So let's listen to the small change that happened. Okay, so I'll go to the second part. Yeah, see what I mean? So you get a nice soft sound, and then it repeats it again, and he does this. Well, is that a small change? Is that a subtle change? I mean, maybe. If I can remember how to play. Ah, shit, I forgot. I forgot how to play that Almond. It's been a long time. Never mind. Anyway, we'll play that. We'll save it for. I got to practice that piece again. I've played it for a long time. So anyway, that's the small little change that can affect everything. Just what he did. And the voice leading, of course, in the Bach voice, like you want to study Bach chorales. Listen to those. That's a better example. Let's look for that. Bach chorales piano. Okay. So we have, I hate these shorts. Let's see. Omnibus BWV order. All right. Let's go for it. Boy, this thing a little late. Okay, let's listen to the first one and listen to the counterpoint. One little thing. So this is the first one, cantata number 1. Let's listen. It's almost like that the bass note is affecting the melody, the top part, the soprano part. That's what not counterpoint, but cantus firmus. Cantus firmus. Figured bass, that's what I was thinking of. Because that's how they used to write these. They used to write the figured bass at the bottom. You had to improvise those figured bass parts. So I guess the bass part is affecting the melody. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat, please. Okay, so there's an example of cause and effect. So one little change, one little ripple in there, like the bass note there, can change the whole complexion of the piece. So listen to and study these Bach chorales instead. I recommend the Bach chorales because the voice leading is really important, and it plays it's very important because it's very intentional what he's doing here. Very, very, very intentional. Okay, so that brings us up to the last one. I know what it says there, but this is mental. I'm going to say sex because that's what it is. So sex there is a balance of male-female, right? Active and receptive forces. Actually, you want to listen to music of Haydn and Mozart. They really played on the masculine and feminine cadences and these ideas in their music. There was a whole field of study of that many, many years ago, and I would recommend listening to a lot of the Haydn. If you can, when you listen to it, you'll be able to figure it out, the masculine and the feminine. So sex is in everything. Everything has its own masculine and feminine principles, and sex manifests on all planes. So the principle of sex works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. There's the cycle. It goes back to the other principle about the cycles. Direction of generation, and then regeneration and creation. And there's the Hermetic triangle right there. Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, or reconciliation. Everything in every person contains two elements or principles of this great principle. Within it, him or her. Every male thing has a female element. Also, every female contains also the male principle. If you understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation, generation and regeneration, you must understand and study this Hermetic principle. Oh, that sounds important. Okay. So go ahead and study that one. So let's listen to, should we find a hiding piece? Oh, Giuliani. We kind of listened to that last time. Let's go back and see if we can find my history folder again. Oops. That history, yeah. So we're going to find the traverse the. No, we don't want that. Where the heck was it? What was I looking for? Oh, the Giuliani. Where's the Giuliani? I had it. Okay. That's the Taraga. I know I have the one that she plays. Mario Giuliani. Let's see. What is it? The Giuliani Sonata number 14? Let me make sure. Julie. Giuliani. Sonata number 15. Let's pick someone else who played it. Yeah. That's the ending of it. That's the finale. I wonder if there's something in there with the finale, the playfulness. Is he playing? Is that a good performance? I don't know. That wasn't the one I was looking for. Boy, this thing's loading real slow. Plays Opus. Oh, here's one with the score. Okay, Opus 15. Let's listen to that. This is a famous. This is a famous. I was going to say rondo, but it's not a rondo. I don't know. I was thinking rondo. Oh yeah, Allegro Spiriziazzo. Yeah, there. So it should have that masculine and feminine dichotomy going here. So. Okay. I guess that's kind of going back and forth with it a little bit. Let me see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, that has an example of that there. Okay. So, now that we've gone through each of these principles separately, so how do you actually use these? I covered them in a video yesterday, but I'm doing this live to kind of reiterate it, and I've got my guitar ready. So, okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to start with the mental. That's the first part you start. Start with intention. What is your intention? What are you trying to write? What are you trying to do? Right? Are you trying to write serial composition? Or are you trying to write what? Minimalist? What are you trying to write? What's your intention? Okay. So think about what you want to write a sonata, or do you want to write studies? Most guitar composers like to start out writing studies. They always write a lot of studies. Study number 1, study number 2, study number 3, and they write a whole slew of them. That's typical. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that, but that's just like everybody does that. Even I've done that when I started writing music. But when I really started writing, though, I don't think I wrote studies at first. I think I was writing sonatas. So what I would do is I would look at a Haydn sonata and kind of get inspiration that way. So my intention was to write sonatas. So whatever your intention may be, could be studies, but try to think more on a grander scale. Okay, so now you got your attention. You want to write a sonata, say. Now look for correspondence in the motives. Okay, so good example of listening to motives and how they're broken apart. It would be listen to Bach. Listen to a lot of Bach. So listen to those Bach chorales. You've got a lot to do with motives and how they're both dispersed throughout the whole piece. So look for correspondence in the motives, and then of course you want to play with vibration. Let me give you an example of vibration. Here's a piece I was playing yesterday. And it's kind of like meditation music. So you want to go. Always changing. Also, I let it vibrate too. That goes to it gets to our next part, vibration. Vibrate, right? Okay, that gets to another one. Vibrate. So I don't need to elaborate on the vibration part, but that's a good example. You can go and listen to a lot of those meditation alpha waves, music to sleep by. It's all overthinking. I've written a lot of these kind of music too, and that's playing the same idea of vibrations through the touch. Let it vibrate through, and then use polarity for drama. So like the polarity would be like the first part. Right? And then like that. Let me do that again. Then there's an example. I know it's kind of cheesy. Then flow with rhythm. We know what that is. And then respect the cause and effect. So if like a little thing, a little motive causes the change in like the baritone section or something, or maybe the mezzo soprano section, then go for it. Yeah, respect the cause and effect, and then balance the masculine and the feminine in your music, right? Like we listened to the Giuliani piece. Okay. So, I've covered all that, and I covered how you can apply that to your music. And some of these things are real obvious. So let me know in the chat box below if this is too obvious, or maybe you want me to expound on maybe just one principle. But I would go ahead and just use all the 7 principles when you write a piece of music. If that's what I would do. And certainly you can. No, go for it. But the thing is, I've been living in Japan for a really long, long time, and it sort of deepened me to this kind of mindfulness. And here this really pairs perfectly with mentalism. Okay, the attention, like for example, the attention to detail in crafts feels like correspondence. So I'm putting this all together here, my experience living in Japan. Even building model kits too. Like when I do the Gunpla, I don't do Gunpla, but I do other model kits. You can go watch those streams. It teaches patience, and it does teach you patience. When you're working on more high grade, perfect grade model kits, you need a lot of patience when you're working. One of these days, I'll turn the camera back on like I used to. Shows. So anyway, so even like building you gotta have, like when you're building the model kits, you look at the instructions. You can kind of visualize. Looking at the instructions, you kind of visualize where it's going, right? And what's going to happen I'm building the head first, and then, but yeah, I go on, look further in the instructions. I go, oh, I got to build the frame. What should I do first? Should I visualize building the frame first, then put the armor plating on it? I don't know. That's kind of the same kind of thing, I guess so. So it is very hermetic, this is. All right. So, yeah, if you have anything you'd like to add, any comments about any of the principles, or if you'd like to see more videos like this, or you'd like to see other videos talking more specifically about Hermetic philosophy, or maybe just talk about some Gnosticism, or maybe get back to my philosophy, my other philosophy videos I did when I'm looking at the state failures. We're talking about political philosophy. So yeah, let me know which principles you like the best, which one works out for you. And if you got a composition you've written or you're having trouble writing it, let me know. Yeah, send me, you can get a hold of me on X. There's my X name right there. That's my account. So you go to my X and you can DM me, or you can just send me an email. And my email is very easy to do. It's just crumblycake@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat right now. Let's see. crumblycake@gmail.com. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, I'll just put it like that. You understand this. I'll put it just like that. There you go. There, okay. Everybody understands that. All right, so share a piece with me. I used to do this a lot. I used to do my daily show for composing for the classical guitar, and people used to send me compositions they're working on to either analyze or give them help on. And using these 7 principles, write a piece of music, or maybe use an existing piece of music and start to change it a little bit based on these principles. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cough. So overall, share a piece of music for me, with me, that you've used these principles on. These principles aren't just philosophy. They're tools for better music creation and better performing, and even better living to extent. But don't take it too medicism. But anyway, I think that's about it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed today's show. It was a little bit different than what I usually do, because I do the other political philosophy where I analyze state failures through radical objectivism, agorism, and anarcho-capitalism. But today I wanted to focus on the Hermeticism a little bit and how that relates to music. And I kind of eventually like to tie all these things kind of together, to bring them all together into one rather than just spread them out. Bring it all together in just one big philosophy. Okay, well, thanks for coming out tonight, and don't forget to like and subscribe and share this out to anybody that's interested in this kind of topic. And until then, peace out.